Okay, so I just got done streaming all 10 chapters of Until Dawn. You can check out those live streams live on my channel right now, and I'll create a playlist, so link in the description for that, and you can see my gameplay and which ending of the game that I got. So this is going to be my quick review for Until Dawn. While this game does everything right that a good horror game should do, great atmosphere. I love the decision making aspect. I thought the story had a lot of intrigue in it, and it had more questions than answers given to it. I thought there were some tense moments in the game. However, on the downside, these are some of the most stereotypical and annoying characters you could possibly spend a runtime of a video game with, because they only want one thing, and that is to fuck everything and anything in sight. Whenever they get 2 minutes alone, it's always, when are we gonna fuck? Even in a tense scenario, they find a way to break the tension away from that and bring it back to the topic of sex. And like, that's the entire first half of this game. And so every character, they don't really have a personality. Every character feels like they're almost competing with each other to who can get to third base fastest. Like, I'm actually not being sarcastic there. That's what the first act of this game feels like. And just whenever characters go outside, there's always really cringeworthy and cheesy dialogue about, like, oh, how can I get into your panties? Why don't we have, sex in this barn over here? Like, this is the type of dialogue in this game, guys. And when that continues to go into the second act, like, I can't attach myself to any of these characters when you haven't really justified yourself to be a worthwhile character here. Like, some of the characters do shine through, however, going into the second act and the third act. But I want to talk about just our female cast here for a second. I think all of the voice acting, throughout the game was really good. But the female characters in this game, they are horrible. Like, they're the ones who make shitty decisions, throughout the game, and, they're always, when there's like a creature outside or someone hunting them, they're always shouting, go out this door, go out this door. And it's baffling to me at how how these characters survive as long as they do, when these are the type of decisions. And you can bring that back to, that is the gamer making the decisions. No, when you're not even playing as that character, the secondary character that you are with is making the most idiotic fucking decisions and like screaming, and there's a lot of subplots in the game that really don't go anywhere. Like, there's a storyline with the Ouija board, which I really didn't see where the payoff to that was. I thought, that might set off some kind of like supernatural story, going into the game, but no, that went nowhere. You have the character of Mike, I think it is. His character, I really liked. Like, once he actually, stands up and takes the situation into his own hands, I thought he justified himself as being like the final man of this game, if you will. But yeah, a lot of these characters' fates, like, when they do die, you don't really care for them. And I'm not sure if that was something intentional. Like, a big part of the character development in the game is like, there's this big like love triangle thing going on. Is like, everyone there is either like an ex-boyfriend or an ex-girlfriend, and there's these new people that are now dating them. So I understand, the relationship aspect, like, is a big part, of the game. But I just didn't really see where that went. They set up some interesting stuff, in the first maybe 45 minutes of the game with some character drama. And, I thought maybe, that could make for some really intense moments as the game goes on. But no, it's just kind of mentioned and then the game moves on. So, which for a horror game, when you have shitty characters, unfortunately, that is a complaint on my end, and it does make the experience, a little bit difficult for me here. But, I thought the creature designs, in the game, and some of the other genres of horror that you see appear throughout the game. There's a mixture of slasher, torture porn, creature feature, supernatural, so, it's kind of a mix, mix of everything here. And, I thought those elements, worked really well. Like when it actually committed to being a horror game, I thought it was successful. I thought it was, for the most part, pretty successful in that regard. And the game had some pretty good gore as well. People getting split in half. Seeing like on-screen intestines and crushing heads. All of that shit. Was really cool in the game, and I thought it looked really cool. The story here, I honestly feel, while for the most part I feel like I'm happy with the story, I felt that they could have done so much more with it. Like, they could have gone much more into, into the history of this place. And, I feel like as far as what they did with Beth's character, you know, I thought it was, okay. I thought it did get, a little bit over the top towards the end of the game, when you're having Rami Malek's character see all these hallucinations. And since Beth's character and like the mystery of what happened to her is such a big part of the game, I thought they took it in honestly a pretty ridiculous direction. And the ending of the game, while it does leave more questions than answers, as I said before, and that is a good thing, in a lot of ways. Like, I don't need every question to be, spelled out for me, and I do like how the game kind of does leave it, open-ended, to a degree. The game, had a vibe of like, kind of Cabin in the Woods, the movie from 2012, I think it was, Josh Whedon. There's some vibes of that movie in here. But yeah, I have very conflicting thoughts. Like, I think there's stuff in the game that are really good, and then there's other aspects that could have been done a lot better. So, I'd say, overall, that this is a fun horror